Hello. Morning, evening, afternoon, etc., etc. Hope everyone's having a good whatever day of the week this is. Wednesday. In true professional fashion, all my tooling has just stopped. Don't have the chat. No idea if anyone's out there. I could be shouted to the void. So bear with, I guess. Question mark. Let's chat. All right. Tube. Okay, this is going to be fun because I cannot get the YouTube chat to hook up to my combined chat window. So anyway, I know Daz is here. Hello. Give me 1 second. I am a professional after all. I can see Sauerkraut, Controni, Julian, Connor, Harand. Hello. You're in a different window. You're not in the window that I want you to be in. I don't know why it's not appearing in here. I don't know. Once I literally, I can see all the past streams. Okay, let me just try and reset the software, and then I'll just give up and hope for the best. It's strange. I can see all the past YouTube streams, but for some reason I cannot see the current YouTube stream. Let's try this one more time. I I have to let people know that I have more than just white and pink shirts. Queco is here. That's good. I can see your chat coming in. Why is I click platforms and I go YouTube, and it's like broadcasts, which should have all of them in here, and it's not in here. What if I disconnect and reconnect? Otherwise, it's fine. We'll have to have both chat windows on the same window, and then I'll figure it out for next time. I think I can see everyone. If it only shows the scheduled streams, then how do I point it at the current stream? Right? Like I did. Thank you for being with us for 9 months and providing invaluable insights, such as last streams, which was this looks shit, which I still think about and still makes me laugh. So thank you for that. Well, okay, so I flailed around like a fish out of water in Blender to the amusement of all. I did say that I was going to bake the textures off stream so they're ready for this stream. I baked one, and then I looked at the rest and I was like, these are just like tinted metal structures, textures that have no real like decals or anything specific. So I sacked that off and I thought we will just go and find some interesting free PBR textures and bodge those in. So that's my plan today, is to try and get the wall texture in first, because that I did export that, and that does have the, don't know what this is, whatever this is, has the lines around it. Then get some blue metal for the trim. I might get a different concrete for the pillars because it seems quite low res. And then yeah, which did I also, I noticed that in the Blender image, like the windows at the top are reflective, which I'm absolutely not going to do. So I'll probably just punch a hole through those and we can just view the outside. My favorite cake is a Jaffa cake, obviously, the correct answer. I'm hoping minimal UV work, but we'll see. Like, if it all goes wrong, then yes. I really don't understand why Streambot won't let me see my current YouTube chat. Like, it's really winding me up. I just feel like I really hate it when tooling doesn't work. It really, really winds me up. Like, I can see all the past broadcasts. Why can't I see like the current broadcast? Like, it says it's connected. I could just, let me just Google this quick. StreamerBot current YouTube chat. Hello there. Hello, hello, hello. Well, yeah, I'm kind of looking for a reason why it's not working. But chat isn't flowing. Here we go. When you test the snare, has to be at least on this. For the bot to latch onto. What are you chatting about? Like, I don't want to. Did you ever find a solution to this? No response. Thanks. Chat not connecting properly. Come on. You need to have all chats open before StreamBot knows they are. It's just a bot that scrapes the open chat windows for any change. I do have it open. I can see it right here. No, I don't plan on displaying it because I feel it is distracting, and like people should be focusing on the code, which is the most important bit, not the chat. But I do need to see the chat, and it's very easy for me to have it in a combined window. I normally use StreamerBot to combine the chats together, but for some reason today, StreamerBot is like, I'm connected to YouTube, authorized, but I'm not going to show you the chat, and I don't understand why. I don't really want to spend too long doing this, but unfortunately, like this is the only time to fix it live, right? I can't fix it not live. Auto monitor live broadcasts. No YouTube broadcasts are currently monitored on StreamerBot. I don't. Once if I uncheck that, reset the cache, default tag, auto monitor, Porn Theory, resubbed for 8 months. Thank you very much. I've thrown that cache in the fucking sea. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you that for free. It is out of here. I have blatted it. Check server settings on StreamerBot. StreamerBot it's a great piece of software, but it's very there's a lot to it. Server settings. So do you mean platforms, or do you mean the settings tab? Like, I really don't want to spend. I feel like I'll put people off if I spend too long doing this. But auto open event feed. Oh, so what's the event feed? Oh, event feed. So in the event feed, at 2000, broadcast started. So it knows it's there. I wonder if this is just missed out on this, and I'm just going to have to lump it. I might have started the stream before opening StreamerBot. I wonder if that's my issue. Regardless, I'll just have to make it work my end. Apologies if I miss your messages. This is a good excuse for you to type it again and double up on the engagement. Apologies for everyone in the UK. I'll try and not swear because you don't want to give the government your ID. Hello, Julian. Hello. I know, but I'm still here to entertain people. Anyway, let's see what we got. Let's see where we're going, and then we'll solve for X. So this is where we left off last stream. What's the best way to start learning CMake? Should you know Make before CMake? I would say there's actually no... Make is always a useful skill to know because there's Make files listed on literally loads of projects. I would say it is not a prerequisite to learning CMake because CMake can be used to generate Make files. I can't find it at the moment, I apologize, but there is like a CMake book written by the author, which apparently is very good, and I think it has some free chapters. If you can find that resource, that nebulous, very loose description that I've given you, I believe that is a good starting place. Ben, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you started learning C++. I hope your journey is going well. Do feel free to come along to the Discord if you have any questions or ask here, and I will do my best to get around to them live. I want to try and incorporate more of a Q&A element into this going forward, maybe as like a subscribe, in exchange for bits or something like that. I haven't decided yet, but yeah, I'm happy to always talk C++. Right, so we got this, and it looks like absolute rubbish, but we'll get there. So I've exported the wall texture. So I'm going to try and slap that in. I didn't re-export the UVs, so it's almost certainly not going to work, and then we'll have to open up Blender. This here, where my mouse is, behind these bars, is supposed to be like a reflective surface. I think these are supposed to be like windows into the office as part of this, but I'm going to punch a hole right through those, and we'll just have it like this. We'll have the beautiful free skybox that I found through. So yeah, that's where we're at. It's true. Yes, this is true. I think AC's got it there. I'm not fixing blurring. No. Something in the future. I want to get the textures right. So it's really hard looking between two chat windows. I want to fix the textures today, so get rid of all the purple nonsense, or at least the majority of it, and then I want to go on to text rendering, and then I want to do menus. So we should have a start menu, a pause menu, and some way of transitioning between them. That's the plan, and then we'll do sound, and then we'll ship it, and we'll do something else. Okay, so let's fire up the Vims. Get rid of Copilot. It's useful for me outside of this, but it's not useful at all for this. And then go to Lua level. So what we've got at the moment is these are all the entities, the meshes that we've loaded that make up that level. Okay, the columns, the door rails, the roof framing, etc., etc., etc. And then I started mapping columns to specific textures, so the albedo and the normal. And so we just need to basically fill. So if we add more into here, it will load them. So we just need to fill this out more. And I've realized I've missed off the specular map, so we're going to go back and add that at some point. So UI will be possibly like a timer as well. I think some of these levels want to be timed. And pause settings, some sort of like press enter to start, like loading screen or something like that. John, I'm discussing it with AC at the moment, and we are bouncing some ideas around how to, not necessarily down the sort of monetization microtransaction route specifically, but more, I guess, ways of increasing engagement, which might involve some monetary component as well. So that's how I'd probably phrase that. Yeah, what to do in Python. Well, this is it. I think people speedrunning it might be quite fun, because I think not every level has to be timed, but I think some of them, I think it might add an additional dimension. Okay. Okay, what am I doing? Okay, so let me see what I did. I did export something. Ooh, just reveal. Quick reveal of the next something I'm working on. Ignore that. Okay, home, me, projects, game. Did I might not have exported it. It might be still in my downloads of SP. I can't remember what the assets were called that I was looking at. I had to reboot my machine, which is annoying. So let's look for blend files. It'll be in here somewhere. SHC factory. Here we go. Open file location. Apologies. Right. Textures. I have something called wall normal. Sorry, wall albedo. So this should be the wall. It should be white. I think it might have a slight grainy texture to it. Nope. Okay, never mind. Ignore that. But it's got some blue lines running around it, so that should give it a little bit of texture. If not, we'll just use a concrete texture and call it a day. And then I also have a normal map for that as well. So I'm just going to copy those over to the project assets file. Let's check that Doriso has not decided to add some additional fun into that. Okay, so now we'll remove the resources file. And we'll start building it. And whilst that's... Nope, that's from a different project. whilst it's doing that, we'll go over to game and we'll start loading those into the cache. The one true cache to rule them all, which has, this should be a loop, right? I think I might at some point make this a loop. It seems a little bit egregious to have these all typed out one by one. Yeah. But, well, it's not just a full white texture, right? Why did I have a funny 5 minutes there? Maybe I didn't show it properly. It's got these fancy blue lines. I do enjoy T-Mux. Okay, so let's go textures. And then instead of floor, we'll do wall, wall. I think I actually broke my naming convention again and named that, which is fine. Oh, it's not even got to build in the resources yet. It's just decided it's going to rebuild everything. Thanks. Oh, I did not. What a great spot. So I have a naming convention so that the game knows how to treat the image data, and it will not load it unless it has a sort of, I guess, like it's almost like a tag in the file name. In fact, that's crashed because that fnf2 arrow dot data. So this says this will pick it up automatically and load it as an sRGB and do the sRGB things that it does with the different colors to map it into linear color space for the shader, so I can then tone map it and gamma correct it and all that good stuff. And then this will just leave those pixels right alone. Like don't touch those. Those are important pixels. It's not an optimization that I think is necessary. I don't think it's worth the time investing in that for what is almost certainly not going to work. I'm going to throw away anyway. Yeah, I don't know. I like it. What's life without whimsy? It's totally superfluous. This, I just went through all the fish defaults and found this one that I liked. I do have like a pretty large monitor, so when I'm programming normally, I don't have more than a 1080p screen and a smaller font, so it has very minimal hindrance on my life, that new line, but it makes me happy. So okay, let's see. Let's just check this loads, because if those textures aren't in there properly, then it will not load. Okay, so those are there. So now, game, nope, lower level. So in here we should, what's it going to be called? It's going to be called like wall beams, main walls. I reckon it's main walls. Let's go main walls, and ooh, steady, stay on target. Let's see what that gives us. I think everyone has their own aesthetic, right? And the beauty of the tooling is that it's normally pretty configurable and you can get what you want. What did I call it? Yeah, I think you're right, but it is multiple walls, so I think I can fix this here, and I'll load it into the cache. I'm glad someone's paying attention, because I am not. I was tired today. I briefly toyed with the idea of actually postponing the stream because I was feeling pretty tired, but I thought, nope, let's get those textures done. Let's do it. Let's power through. No, it is not GMTK. I don't know, no reason. Probably, I suspect I don't get enough sleep. I was up late-ish. I've been traveling a lot for work at the moment. I was working quite late last night on another project. Kids. Nailed it. It's true. I think it's the lack of pink and white shirt that has really thrown me off. I will do better for next time. We had this problem with the floor, didn't we, where it had the repeating texture and I had to re-export the model. So let's just fire up Blender. The problem is I didn't save it after I unwrapped the UVs. Oh, this is going to be... I am concerned that if it doesn't smart unwrap them the same way, it's going to end up as a bit of a mess. Well, here we are, back at Blender. I don't think it's loading the wrong textures. I think that's the one I want, right? If you look here, it's got the blue line around it and all these cutouts and stuff. We could just slap like a concrete texture on it and be done with it. Sorry, not yeah, like a white concrete. No, I think it looks very, because it didn't have this big square, right? Unless, I mean, I'm always happy to double check. But this has got the big old square, and this, yeah, this doesn't. This has got all the weird cutouts. Yeah, it's confusing because they are very, very similar. Okay, watch as I fail to once again do all this. So I want object mode, and then I select the object I want, which is main walls, and then I press tab. Nope, sorry. Oh god, what have I done? Object mode, select the walls, press tab, press A, press U, press smart UV project, press unwrap. Okay, and then file, export, wavefront, the whole thing with those axes and the UV coordinates and the normals, but not the materials. Export wavefront. And then I'm just going to save off that old one that we've got. Just stick that on the desktop as a temporary measure. Then you go up to... It's working on it. Don't worry, guys. It is working on it. It's still working on it. I don't need to bake it because I've already baked it, but I didn't update the UVs. So assuming the smart unwrap does the same thing, I'm hoping it'll work. Oh, shoot, triangulate faces. Yes, good shout. It's never going to work for us. It's never going to work for us. Export. Wavefront. Station only. Triangulate meshes. Export wavefront. Don't even confirm. Don't even confirm that that file already exists. Just go straight over it. Okay. I don't want to spend I really don't want to spend more than like today on this. Like, I think by the end of the day it should be about as good as it's going to get, if you know what I mean. Because I really want to get on to doing something more programmy. Let's rebuild that. Okay, so that's going to go into there, and then we'll see what happens. Yes, Asimp was given the instruction to triangulate and promptly shat itself. But it's the correct choice. I'll tell you what, I will concede that there is a better cake if you would grant me that it is a cake, and that would be Battenberg. I like how Harand is jumping between Twitch and YouTube in order to harass me about my choice of cakes. Luigi, we do it every stream. We've got to throw them away and start again. There's no update in our resources. You can have one. You can have the walls or the floors. It's because I didn't smart unwrap the floors as well, so I would have updated those back to the wrong ones. That's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. That looks Oh, chef's kiss. It's good. From a distance, absolutely crushed it. Right, all the rest of this, I'm just going to find free PBR textures. Not that I have a PBR renderer, but like close enough. And then we'll start slapping bits on, like a metal roof, blue metal pipes, punch out the windows. Because if you look in Blender, these are all the same material. No, not that. That's some sort of light probe. These are all just like blue. Don't know what that center bit is there. What about that later? These are all like just tinted blue metal. They just have a metal normal map, and then, excuse me, blue. So I think we can do a little bit better than that. This has like a concrete texture on it, and I don't know why this didn't render out. This clearly didn't render out, so I might just sack this off and get a concrete texture anyway, but we'll see. yeah. Typo Battenberg, and you're wrong, and the UK government will ban you. So I don't know. I want to get it kind of serviceable, and then defer tweaking it till later. Right, object mode. Select what I want. Tab. A, U. Smart UV project. Unwrap. File. Export. I have to kind of chant this to myself, otherwise it doesn't work. I've made the requisite sacrificial goat to Blender. I will black that, and I will copy it across. Almost forgot that. 10.5, timestamp updated. We have got a new file. Replace that. Do this. Do that. Build this. Build that. Okay, we're near there. I suppose we can start perusing textures. That's a good PBR when it's home. Ambient CG. In the 2616 textures they have, I would hope that there's at least one I want. Also, I do like blue metal. Oh, bit of weathering. What do you think of this? I like this. Yes, Dexter, hello. I'm glad you're here, and I hope you're enjoying it. We've been doing this since November last year, so I think we're at like 66 streams now, 2 a week. They're all in a playlist, all on YouTube. They're all unedited. It's just the raw experience. Feel free to catch up if you can. That'd be great. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it. What are we thinking? 2K? Should we treat ourselves? 4K? 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 4K. I think we can afford 4K. Right, let's see what this looks like now. Let's see if this looks like absolute ARC. Look at that. Oh, it's like a real game. Oh, it's like a real life game. I'm absolutely going to change these for something like textured at some point. I have no idea why. I might see if I can off stream figure out why I didn't get the nice concrete texture, because this is not inspiring. This is not inspiring. This could be worse. I feel like the dynamic lighting has kind of fallen off a cliff a little bit here. I spent so long. I got a little bit of blue. There's definitely, the normal mapping is definitely fucked, right? Like there is. You can't tell me this is normal mapped. Put it on the list of things to fix. It's not important now because I think there's going to be a whole set of streams at the end for like bug fixes and polish. Again, I'm trying to build out the main functionality now, so I really want to get onto like the two main technical hurdles left are probably text rendering and by extension menus and sound. After that, it's just kind of filling stuff, maybe throw some shadows in there, some ambient occlusion, maybe some bloom. It's all stuff I've done before, so it's not too... They're the known unknowns. Right. Let's have a look at this. Painted metal. Extract all. So we look what we got here. Oh man, got all the stuff. All the stuff. Color? That's probably what I want first. Oh, that is... There's no denying. This is blue. Yeah, I've moved the schedule. I'm experimenting moving the schedule over to Discord. The problem I have is that I stream a lot more than I upload videos, and I generally actually lose subscribers from streams. Not a lot, but I think a lot of people who aren't interested in streams see me pop up in their subscription feed twice a week, and it gets a little bit irksome. So I experimented with this on Sunday, didn't tell anyone, and I had the same number of viewers on YouTube. So I'm kind of thinking it's probably not an issue. Discord's probably the best place to keep up with it, but we'll see. I might go back. Like, it's all, I'm figuring this all out as I go along. I want normal GL. That is normal. Yeah, it's true. We could alternate a bit. Right, let's take these over to the main asset hole and slap those in. Going to rename these as well. So let's do F2 blue metal .srgb and do okay. It renamed both of those at the same time. That was entirely not my intention. And then we'll do F2 blue metal normal .data. Okay, let's get that blending in the background as we go through and update this. So let's do 3, yeah, and let's do walls. Metal, let's go blue metal. And then this was entirely unlike, I've changed the naming again and do blue metal. I guess regardless of what the assets are called, they get somewhat normalized when they get loaded into the cache with their key. Yeah, they do have specular maps, so we'll go through and add those later as well, because I think that might help a little bit as well. That's quite a big question there, so I'm going to read it out, and then we do have some people here who work in the games industry, so I imagine they have more of a valuable insight. But some say that abstractions and writing good and clean code are unnecessary for developers. Is this dogma misleading and causing the current problem with the games industry? I don't know what the current problem you're referring to is. I would say that everyone should strive to write good and clean code. There's always a level of pragmatism in terms of what you have to deliver and then maintain, but by and large, if you're writing code that needs to be maintained in 3 or 4 months' time, then yes, you should be striving to make that good and clean for whatever metric you have of that. I think just like throwing anything at the wall and not worrying about it is fine for a personal project. That is not how you deliver professional software. That is not how you deliver software in a professional context. So yeah. Oh, Discord just told me I'm live, so that's only 34 minutes late. There are, as alluded to in the chat, some big names with a lot of influence who have very strong opinions, which, whilst their opinions might be valid within the particular framework and context they operate under, you have to be very careful about kind of extrapolating those out when they are not like directly applicable to what you're doing. That is the politician's answer. Why'd that go bang? Right, there's people out there who advocate against RAII in C++, and I think that is often misguided. Oh. Why is my resource packer not doing resource packing things? Have I misnamed something? Have I got extra rando files in there again? No, I bet I know what I've... What? Oh, yeah, it's put rando files in there again. Thanks, WSL. I like the non-determinism of WSL deciding to add random files into my file system. I find like the phrasing of the question very interesting. It's like, oh, is writing good code bad? It seems almost oxymoronic. Like good is subjective to the problem you're having in the team you're part of, and like I said, your deployment requirements and your maintenance requirements, and whether you have what you have to do on it in 3 months' time versus 3 years' time versus 30 years' time. I think so. I don't think you could ever argue against writing good code, but what good code is, I think, is the actual interesting part. But I'm a big fan of using the language to its fullest extent to make your life easier, basically. That is my kind of ethos. Well, the packer's interesting because it does filter on file extensions, so I'm surprised it's not just ignoring stuff it can't process. But anyway, here we are. Okay, so we put those in, and then let's go to the Lua level, and then what we're going to have, I guess, most of these things need to be blue metal. Can we... Here's an interesting thought. Can we just make everything... Can we make blue metal like the default? If everything else is basically that, and then we can go and select it. I just want to see... Oh, it's my code. I want to see what that looks like. Yeah, we might get there. I think that might be the case. Okay, let's see where we get to. Oh dear. Oof. Lower level 134. 134. Blue metal albedo. Where is it? What's it not like about that? Have I typoed it? I definitely have blue metal sRGB and blue metal normal.data. Yeah, I know, right? Like, Windows is consistent, especially with the abort, retry, ignore window, which arguably those buttons don't really make any sense anyway. Yeah, yeah. I'd like to retry in a debugger, but not restart the program. I'd like to retry. I think it means, because it doesn't just effectively mean like retry the first chance exception in a debugger. Does not exist. Does the albedo exist in the file system? It does, but I have just called it. We've got blue metal and blue metal normal. The only thing is, did it not? Let me black that one more time. Let's give a, whilst we'll double check this as we go along. Oh no. It's because it's because it's the texture, isn't it? Sorry, I got ahead of myself. Let me just fix this and I'll explain. We have to supply 3 things to render at the moment. The name of the OpenGL material. Well, the name of the material, which is an OpenGL program, and then the name of the 2 textures that we want to render with. And I changed all 3 to just be blue metal something, whereas we want the simple program, which just supports the normal mapping, or doesn't, but should do. We could do. What we might put in horse. We might put in horse armor. I think that might be a good addition as a paid DLC. Oh, it sure is. Sure is generating. And then maybe you'll finally bless me with the next Elder Scrolls game. Not that I have time to play it, but I would like to play Skyrim. I'm kind of playing Skyrim++. I would like to play whatever the next is afterwards. Indeed. The problem is Skyrim was so... what am I trying to say? It was a good game. Like, obviously it has its issues, and maybe objectively compared against other fantasy RPGs and stuff, it is objectively not that great, but there was something about how explosively popular it was, and how much of an impact it had on people. That's going to be really hard to recapture. I tended to go Stormcloaks, which is strange because I'm a sucker for following the rules. So maybe this was my power fantasy, was to rise up and seize the means of production for myself. Oh, beautiful. It looks like absolute arse. I love it. So to be fair, there is a looks awful. Oh, I like the super stretched one out here as well. This is a personal favorite of mine. Is the infinite metal floor. I think this might not be the best texture to go for. Yeah, I think we probably need ambient occlusion to kind of make this pop a little bit. I'm going to leave this in for now because, one, I find it funny. 2, the wall. Let's go back to Blender and see what meaningful changes we can make to kind of make this, because like this is what we're shooting for, guys. This is what it should look like. So the walls need some sort of concrete texture. That's fine. Here, this needs a concrete texture on the ceiling. So what we'll do is we'll go get a concrete texture from PBR, whatever, slap that on there. The back wall, no, that's fine. Oh, blech. This is fine. All this needs to be blue. And then it's this, whatever this is here, glass panes. I think I want to like just punch a hole through. Yeah, so we'll just not load the... Right, what we'll do is we won't load the glass panes, and we'll stick on roof a concrete texture. How about that? How's that sound, guys? How's that sound? It does have like I do like the Tesco value blue stripe that's going around it, which is a very niche British joke. I apologise for anyone else, but this is the Tesco value level after all. We're getting there, guys. We're getting there. I did think it was a little bit blue. I do. These are corrugated steel. I just think these massive big patterns are too much, and when we stretch and scale them over different things, they don't look good. Like maybe even something like this. It's true. There is only one Tesco. They rarely come in multiples. You normally only see one Tesco at a time. Okay, maybe what's just metal? What about like a rough metal? What about like this? What about like this? And then we can always tint it blue later. How do we feel about this? The phrase "trip to big Tesco" really resonates with me. So no, I'm not going to the little one. I'll go to the big Tesco. Good one. It does look pretty rough. Nice one. Okay, I'm gonna treat myself to what did I go for last time? Was it 4K? Do we go full 4K? We did. So we'll go 4K on that, and then concrete. Oh, I'm spoiled for choice. I'm thinking maybe this one. Or maybe this one. Now that's why. Now I apologize that we're playing now. That's why I call concrete textures, but that's pretty much where we're at. Oh, what about this one? Asphalt. 3D preview. Nailed it. Anyway, I could. How does one back? Yeah, I think smoother better. I'm gonna go for this one. I'm gonna go for asphalt, and we'll play. Does it blend? Okay, so I want the normal GL. The color. Stick that into the asset hole. I've lost my window. Where has it got? Computer. Hello. Okay, so let's call it. Do I already have a metal texture? Can I just call this metal? Okay. Welcome to 2 hours of me renaming files. Metal.srgb. Nice. To metal normal.data. Oh, these are JPEGs. Exciting. I'm also not removing any of the old ones, so that our resource file is just getting bigger. But hey, what are you gonna do? Right, asphalt. I want color and I want normal GL. Asphalt.srgb and fn2 asphalt normal.data. Okay. I think we're there. I think we're doing it. Check for rando extra files, of which there are 2. Of which there are 4. Then we start trying to sneak that in on me. I'm having none of it. Can't sneak those in on me. Get that a blend in while I go and tidy this up. So we can have. Leave the blue metal in there. We might need it later. Okay. Quite possibly, yeah. But let's just see where we get to. I don't know why I did that. That's an excellent point. It was the first button I came to. I'm kind of playing kind of fast and loose with this a little bit. Just to check that I can still process both files, I guess. I'm almost setting a spell this wrong at some point. Flow, I've already spelled it wrong, haven't I? Right. And then we'll go to the Lua, and then we'll change this to... It's just metal now, isn't it? Metal normal. And then I want for here... is it roof? The roof? The roof. And this will be asphalt. Asphalt? It's no one's fault. Thanks, Peppo. Oh shit! I pressed the wrong button. Just cancel that. Didn't need those resources anyway. And if this is dumb, ship it. I want to write some code. I don't want to just faff around loading stuff in and out of the cache. And then text rendering. It should be fun because I think it's going to be slightly more complex than I anticipate, especially when it comes to blending, because I don't think any of our shaders really handle alpha very well at the moment. So that's going to be fun. Ali, hello. Yes, like general character controller physics is on the to-do list. That is actually another big unknown as well. So thank you for reminding me. I do have a list. So we'll get on that soon. I want to get the, I guess, like the non-gameplay bits done. Could you classify them as that? I don't know, but like if it were an engine, the engine-y bits. Then we'll do add the character controller. I'm really undecided how best to approach that. So that's gonna be fun. We're done by Christmas. I just see. I remember saying that exact thing. Not gonna have transparency. Why bother handling it? And it's like, but I'm gonna have. But text is effectively going to have some level of transparency. I don't know why this is. I suppose because there's so many textures now. I will go through and clean these up in a bit. Indeed. If this is good, I will try and go through and clear out some of the assets we no longer are using because it's getting a little bit tight in that resource file. I don't want to be this. The age-old question: is it stuck, or is it just taking a long time? Why do I need auto star? Won't the compiler already know that it was a pointer? Great question. Yes, it does know it's a pointer. Auto will deduce pointer. I just do it because it's kind of a visual cue to me if I'm looking through that this is a pointer. This will work absolutely fine without it. It also means that if I change something on the right-hand side that is no longer a pointer, this will then fail to compile, which is an indicator that my usage of this has probably changed. That's more of a, I guess, like a grasping at straws reason to use it. It's more just a visual indicator to me that these are pointers. It doesn't take long to compile. It takes long to package up all the assets and then compress them. That's what's taking the time. What have I misnamed? This is beautiful. Asphalt does not exist. Because it is it asphalt albedo? Yes, there's a lot of assets in there, which means when it gets decompressed into memory, it's going to use that much memory. Have we got a lot of RAM for this tiny little game? But yeah. Resource optimization is a future problem. For now, let's just get something going. I mean, that... I mean... I think it doesn't look too... That metal texture is definitely better than the offensive blue one. It's not too bad. Oh, I need to punch out that wall, don't I? And then I need to fix why the fact... I've obviously decided to slap the normal map on there. Yeah, I'm just compressing the whole lot and hoping for the best. What have I done? So asphalt sRGB. Methinks I found the problem, which means I have to rebuild that resource once more. Apologies. I have. You know what? Because you know exactly what I'm going to do, don't you? Nah, just fix it. Fix it in the code, mate. And then I want to get rid of was it glass? Window frames, is there? Glass panes, that's what I want to get rid of. Oh, perfect. I'm glad that's now longer. As long as I have to hope that out of the 120 people who are here, in a few streams time when I'm banging my head against that, someone's like, actually, you were too lazy to rebuild the cache. This is an educational lesson as to the previous discussion on good and bad code. This is an example of bad code, which I'm doing as a learning experience for everyone. It's really upsetting the actual game devs in the chat. I mean, it's not great, but it is. I think if these walls were a lighter concrete color, or maybe even the same concrete as the ceiling, it's a little bit grey. It looks a lot like a new build kitchen, but it does look better. I think lighting and normal mapping and MIP mapping and some AO, I think would go a long way to tarting this up. And I think if we just tinted all those metal like a dark shade of blue ourselves, I think it would pop out a little bit. I'm trying to make a puzzle game, so the idea is that these barrels which move... Why is this one purple? I don't remember that. Mystery purple barrel. These barrels move in fun and interesting ways, and you have to kind of move them into position. What is the... Oh, what is the black? Oh. I mean, it contrasts. Yeah, I think we could probably move away from the sort of my first tone mapping as well. Maybe something a little bit more better. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of things it should be. I don't know if I'm going to do transparency. I think that might just be kind of enough for now. I don't. What is that in Blender? Main. Interesting. It's part of the main wall. So has that always been like that? I'm kind of happy to leave this like as is for now to get on and do something more interesting, and we'll come and revisit it later. I don't want to try not to spend too many streams in a row doing the same thing. It's nice to kind of keep it fresh. But we could definitely tart this up quite easily, I reckon. It's gonna be doing this. I'm gonna be commenting stuff up on Git and quitting out of Blender and giving my RAM a sigh of relief. It's near game, right? It's near there. Look at this, look at that. A lick of paint. We'll be swimming in positive Steam reviews. Got the mountains in the distance. I've got a barrel who's off on a jolly. Oh, that is dark. Okay. There's not a lot's coming up. Quite possibly. It's almost certainly something I've done, but I'm going to leave it in for now. Yeah, I need some way of detaching myself, also from the game movement as well. But I think I might be able to do that with our scheduling system. I have some thoughts on how to improve state transitions with our current scheduling system and have it to implement easier like input controls. So we'll hope to get that later. Yeah, because at the moment we did have flying for quite a while, and then I kind of grounded us. Maybe I should take that back. Okay, so let's commit load new assets and commit integrate new assets. Okay, I want to start looking at text rendering. I want to be able to have like hello world or something on the screen, and then I want to start thinking about like a start menu and a pause menu. I feel that will make it feel a bit more like a game. And then, like I said, sound, and then whatever else is on my list. So I'm just gonna close Blender. Don't save, question mark. Too late, gone. Okay, what do I want to do? I've done some text rendering before, so this is not, but I'm going to try, and it's been many years since I've done it, so I'm going to try, and I'll have this to crib from, but I'm going to try and, because I could have made some mistakes then, try and go through some of it from first principles as well. I want a text factory. So I've written this before. Last commit 3 years ago. I can't imagine the Windows API has changed much in that time, but you never know. This uses the write factory, and this allows you to create write objects, and within the write objects you can give it various other magical Windows primitives, and from there you can draw text to what effectively becomes a texture, and then I guess randomly fix up some of the pixel values, and then so the idea is I want a similar API to this. You give it a font name, a size, a text, and a color, and it returns you a texture of that. Oh yeah, so I use LazyGit as my LazyGit is my sort of CLI Git tool. It's not mine, it's the one I use. It looks like this, but I have a NeoVim plugin, which allows me to do lead LG and brings it up in here. And then I prefer a side-by-side diff to unified view. So I have Git itself configured to do side-by-side, and then it's got like syntax highlighting and bat and all those kind of things in here. I mean, we hopefully won't need a factory. I think we can get away with just one level of factories, but we'll see. So we're going to start writing some code. And so I would also say that this API is probably incorrect in the sense that what you normally do is you generate a texture, like a font atlas. So for a given font and size, you will render every single character to a big square, like that you would ever want to render, and then you would maintain some sort of data structure which gives you the bounds of each of those. And then when you type in text, you just render a series of boxes or sprites next to each other based on those dimensions. So you only have to render everything once. I'm going to do it the easy way to start with, which is just every time you give it some text, just straight up render it. I mean, I'll probably put a tiny little cache in there. But yeah, this will be not efficient, but it will be easier. So let's look at what are the docs for this? What does Microsoft say we should be doing? So this creates the DirectWrite factory object that is used for subsequent creation of individual DirectWrite objects. That sounds a lot like what a factory does. Is it going to tell me anything about what DirectWrite does? Here you go. The following example shows how to create a DirectWrite factory. It would not be simpler to create a 3D model for each letter because I cannot create 3D models. I do not possess the skill. I suppose I could find them, but I've done this before. I really don't think this is going to be. I don't think it's going to be that hard. We'll probably spend like a couple of streams on it, and it's programming, and it should be a bit of fun. Programming guide. Here's what I want. Introducing DirectWrite. So people communicate with text all the time. I would largely agree. Primary way food consumed, blah, 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 preamble, exposition. Modern Windows applications have sophisticated requirements for text or in their UI, blah, 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 blah. DirectWrite is independent of any particular graphics technology, which is what we want. Like, it doesn't matter that we're using OpenGL or if we're using Vulkan or whatever. I want pixels. I want pixels. Applications are free to use the rendering technology best suited for their needs. What's best suited for my need is OpenGL. Not if you. Apparently, I'm wrong if you look in a lot of my comments, but I don't care. I don't want low quality typography. Not here. I only want the highest. Support for. I mean, if we get ligatures, that'd be pretty sweet. But one thing at a time. We can therefore support all these languages if we need to. I'm probably not, but it's always nice to know that it's there. Multiple layers of functionality. That is what we get enterprisey. DirectWrite provides factored layers of functionality with each layer interacting seamlessly with the next. Remember this word seamlessly when it does not coalesce how we want. The API design gives application developers the freedom and flexibility to adapt individual layers depending on their needs and schedule. Like, that's good because my stream schedule is only twice a week for 2 hours at a time, so I'm glad it adapts to that. The following diagram shows the relationship between these layers, which is basically what we want, right? So this kind of actually makes sense. We have some sort of font, and then we have glyph rendering. So that is how to actually like cursive A, like what is what's the mathematical like construct for the glyphs, like the actual printed bit, and then you need to rasterize that, so you need to translate that into pixels, and then layout, like how do they then, like your kerning and all your other sort of fancy font words, and then render. So this makes sense, right? We need to know how a glyph is represented. We need to know how to turn that into pixels, and then we need to know how to manage multiple ones of those together. provides the highest level of functionality. Exposition. Subpixel positioning and anti-aliasing. Blah, 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 blah. I'm kind of glossing over this because largely I am not an expert in typography, but it all sounds good. Here you go. Formatting, drawing, hello world. This is what we want. I think this is largely what I cribbed my code from. Create the factory, always important. We create text format. Arial, sure. One of my favorite calculations. It's a super important number. EN, probably GB. Check if it's successful, blah, blah, blah. Actually draw the text at the origin. So you create a layout, blah, 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 and then you release this up. Look. The following example enumerates the fonts and system, but I think we just need to start writing some code. I'm just going to start working off of, like, I've got an example code. We've got this. Let's just start. Source. Nope. Still going to figure out this bloody keyboard. Graphics. Text factory. Do we want to continue with the factory naming? I think so. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. Indeed. Never. Measure twice, pragma once. It's just going to be 2 files, so I don't think the text subfolder would get us much over it. I think if we had more further abstractions for fonts and font faces and stuff like that, it would make sense, but I'm happy just to slap this in graphics for now, and then never leave it, never move it. So class text factory. So this is kind of like, I mean, I always like to kind of start off with the interfaces because that's the bit you're actually going to use, right? Now, first question is draw text, right? I assume this is going to be a null terminated. Oh, it does have then. Can I use it? The question is, can I use a string view? Because that's what ideally I would like to use. I got a horrible feeling it's wide strings only as well, so we're probably going to have to do a conversion regardless, but we could always widen it to a w string if we need to. Pragma once just means that if this header file is included multiple times within a translation unit, because when you hash, let's take a step back. When you hash include a file in C and C++, all you do is literally take the contents of that file and copy it in. It's pretty dumb. That's all it does. You can but you also resolve all of its includes and its includes. So you end up with your CPU file ends up massive. Like if you just include IOStream and print hello world, I think it's like 100,000 lines of C++ or something stupid, 50,000 lines. So what you might end up in this situation is that this file, through those transitive includes, may get included more than once, and that might cause issues, ODR violations, that kind of thing. So Pragma once just basically says, hey, compiler, when you are doing the pre-processing step, when you're expanding and resolving all those hash includes, only include this file once in any given CPP file in the total kind of expansion. And that's short. Let's be optimistic. And I'm going to keep this all simple at the moment. So I'm just going to assume some internal fonts that we can't control for now. So I just want to do, I guess what I want is something like this. render string view text const this error will disappear in a minute when I update when I do a build. I think that's what I want. What did I do in mine? I did create. I guess create for a factory does make more sense. Factory, I'm not rendering anything anyway, am I? Like at best I'm rasterizing it. Okay, that's what I want. So you create a text factory and then you just call create and boom, it does it. We could create multiple factories. We could have a single factory pass around. It really, I don't care. Well, the factory itself is already built because it would be constructed. What does the factory do? I think as well, like, we could stick this in the resource cache as well. If you're really going to be like, if we're going to be reusing lots of blocks of text, we could render them all initially and stick them in the resource cache with a name. Congratulations, Rand. Welcome back. We've done all the fun graphics programming without you. We've done in SSAO. We've done it all. Now we're doing font rendering. I don't know. I feel we should rise up and seize the factories for ourselves. Okay, so let's do text factory.cpp hash include graphics text factory hash include string view hash include graphics text, not that one. Already got that one, but our pragma once would save us. Texture.h namespace game, stick that in there. Ooh, not that. And then do auto texture factory create. I don't know why I think string view text const texture start. Let's do hash include our favorite logger, and then we'll do log debug creating text for text, and then we just return a null pointer just to get us going, and then graphic cmake, and then in here text factory.cpp, and I think that is now no longer alphabetical, so let's just quickly fix that again. Okay, let's just see if that blends. Oh yeah, we're going to be drawing all the runes in the sand for this. Rodrigo, I think this is, there might even be a bang auto that will help you here if someone could type that in, otherwise I'll go through it. Darnell, I'm glad you're watching them. I'm glad you find it useful to learning C++. I have toyed with the idea of doing tutorials. It's not, YouTube is a fickle beast and really craves consistency, and as I don't really do tutorial content, I would worry that it would confuse the poor algorithm and would potentially limit the reach that I have, which I don't know if that's good or bad, but that's kind of the way I view it. I've got a niche on YouTube that I'm kind of pushing through and having reasonable success with, and then the live streams are a better way for me to kind of do the forward engineering stuff. I think a second channel would be probably the best way of doing it. I am there are. So yeah, I think second channel would possibly be the best way of doing it. There are, however, two things I'm chronically short of: hair and time. And it's just whether I just do not think I have the time at the moment to even consider doing a second channel. What with the main channel and streaming twice a week, I cannot do it all, and I'd rather stream and do this, to be honest. So yeah, I know where these jokes are going. So yeah, the best you can probably get out of me is either in terms of C++ help is to come along to the Discord, where myself and other people who are much better at C++ than I are pretty active, or ask questions on the live stream, and I'll do my best to pick them up and answer them. I do think more Q&A style helpy C++ helpy stuff on the streams might be useful. It might be that we spend a bit of time at the end. People can ask more pointed questions. I don't know. There's we're currently bouncing some ideas around on how to kind of incorporate that. I feel like I've waffled quite a lot on this question. Well, it builds, so it must work. But yeah. So I think to answer your question, I have thought about doing tutorial content. I just don't currently have the time to commit to doing it at the level that I want to do it, whilst also maintaining the commitments I have on the other content factories that I'm turning the handle on. Not a good short, that one, though. No, that's not what we want. Right, okay, so Windows runes. We're going to follow their tutorial, and we're going to hope for the best, because it's there, right? What headers do I need? Because their example is woefully lacking in headers. I'm going to need wind was. Let's just update my terrible headers. My terrible tooling. This should all down to sphere. Yes. I know. Well, I unknown is a COM thing, right? So that is all COM objects derived from an I unknown. That was the name they picked for the base object for all their pseudo classes. And that's what we're going to work with. And you know what, Donald? I'm glad you're here too. So we don't have to question how we got here, but I'm just pleased everyone's here. Sorry, a few questions coming in. To Tom, how do you get started with C++? I think learncpp.com is probably your best bet in this here in the year 2025. Learncpp.com is probably your best bet. It goes through. This is a much more thorough tutorial than I could ever hope to write. It covers loads of stuff. I would say get through as much of that as you can stomach before you get bored, and then start writing projects. And that is the real way to learn, is to grind it out. Collection of scenes where each scene is a collection of objects be a good high-level description of how you would just structure a game in this engine. So a couple of things to unpack there. I'm not making an engine. It might sound like a really pedantic point to make, but this is not general purpose. Like, you can make anything with it, or even a specific genre. I'm trying to only write the code that gets us towards making a game. Everyone who's been here since the beginning is absolutely sick of me hearing me say that, but it is true. Other than a few little like modern C++ self-indulgences, I'm trying to only write the code that we need. So what you suggested, from my limited understanding of how games actually work, seems reasonable. Am I going to do that? Probably not. Yeah, there's so many. My go-to projects when I'm learning a new language, it depends what your starting off point is and what your existing knowledge is, right? So my go-to projects for learning a new language are a ray tracer or a TCP socket server. If none of those words mean anything to you, those are probably not good starting projects. It really depends on what your baseline is. I really recommend doing a project that you've done in another language already, so you can compare and contrast and get some feel for what C++ offers you, what the limitations are, of which there are many. That is that's the winning formula, I think. But yeah. Other than that, literally ChatGPT, give me 10 starter programming projects and pick whichever one sounds fun. Yeah, no worries. Join our Discord and let us know how you're getting on. I'd love to hear about it. You can always message me as well, like privately. I'm pretty bad at responding to emails now because I get quite a lot of them, but I'm pretty good at responding to Discord messages. So read into that what you will. Right. We're not writing any DirectX code here. Direct draw code, I should say. I guess DirectX is the family of APIs. I want a WindWAS. I'm probably going to want some sort of direct draw shenanigans. DWrite.h. To be honest, actually, we should probably do this from first principle. So this says here that we need to create a DWrite create factory. So let's look up here's how I normally do it. Look up the docs for this. Sorry, just check out something. Creates a DirectWrite, get factory type and ID, a sweet double pointer. We are 2-star programmers today. And normally if you go to the bottom of the docs, it should tell you that it's in this DLL and in this header. So MSDN docs, pretty good, I would say, by and large, pretty good. It has a sweet AI mode now, so you can really grok those. I assume I need to install it, include it after WindWAS, which is not going to work for me because my which one do I want? Spoiled for choice. I know I was singing Microsoft's praises, and they present me with this. It's true. Vulcan's worse is subjective. More convoluted, maybe. Yeah, I think I want that. I assume the others are internal implementations or internal files. I mean, it's really the Windows API is not that bad. It has some rough edges, shall we say, but I can do most things that I want in it. Okay, so what's my type? What's my direct factory type? Shared or isolated? So this, by the way, this is literally how I program these things. I find the docs and I read through them and I try and puzzle out what the arguments are. I know it's given us an example, but I'm kind of curious to go a little bit deeper and figure out what I'm actually programming, get some sort of idea of the misery involved. So this indicates that the DirectWrite factory, that's a mouthful, is a shared factory and it allows for the reuse of cached font data across multiple in-process components. Such factories also take advantage of cross-process font caching components for better performance. I feel like that's what I want. I don't want it isolated. I think we're going to go, as they've recommended, shared, and it sounds like what I want. We'll go for that. The IID is the GUID value that identifies the direct factory interface. This is a weird, miserable com thing. Basically, what this means is pass this in or it will not work. So let's try this. So I want to I'm gonna need my error handler as well, I imagine, for this. Let's do const auto DWrite factory equals DWrite create factory. Can I global namespace this, or is it a macro? But DWrite. Oh, it does not like that. What is the type? There's an enum. Should find it. Factory type shared. I think this is a macro, so this is never going to work for me. UUID of ID write factory of one of those, and then I need to. Okay, so what they've done here is COM is a application interface API thing that Microsoft created, basically a way of software components written in different languages to be able to communicate regardless of their language. So it's like a binary layout for data. It looks a lot like a C++ vtable when you get everything inherits, but it's not real inheritance from this thing called an IUnknown. You basically get back a pointer to an object, and inside that pointer is another pointer, and inside that pointer is a array of function pointers, which if you have seen one of my recent videos, the joke is that looks a lot like a C++ vtable. And basically the first three members are always like the IUnknown interface. So whatever the interface that IUnknown provides, which is three functions, I can't remember, they are like add ref count, get ref count, and something else. Those are always the first three functions. Comfortable with, I think, is a stretch. I have used it before in my engine, so like you can see here I've done this, but my last commit to this file was three years ago. So like I have done it once and I got it to work, and I do have some prior art. So what I'm kind of doing is, but I'm trying to go through the thought process of how I would do this. I don't want to just copy and paste that code over because I think it's kind of meaningless for everyone. And where's the fun in that? Like, where's the bugs? Where's the misery? Where's the horror? So I think I want to kind of go on this pilgrimage to font text rendering. Yeah, so what you need an ID write factory, but it will only the API will only return you an IUnknown, so they just cast it to that. This is technically undefined behavior in C++. So C, it doesn't matter because like C is kind of plays pretty fast and loose with casting, and it's kind of happy with a lot of things. Like you don't have to cast the result of memcopy, for example. C++ is a lot stricter. This doesn't perform temporary materialization or anything like that. So things like it's just a pointer, so it might not actually be undefined. If you were to access anything within this pointer, it will be undefined behavior because you have access to an object through which the abstract machine has no knowledge of. It wasn't constructed. But anyway, I'm kind of gassing a little bit here about C++ intricacies. It will not be a problem for this. Once we get start lifetime as, all this stuff disappears. Yes, I think it's only UB if you actually do something, if you actually dereference that pointer. However, as you're handing that pointer over to the internal C API, again, it's absolutely fine. So yeah, anyway, that's a little bit of a side track on that. So I want an ID write factory. Oh, this doesn't. Of course, this just returns your results, doesn't it? Sorry, this is. So this is the write factory. Equals. Can I do that? I might actually have to do ID write factory star write factory. Okay. And then into here, I do. Someone points out that there's other macros you can use for this. I am aware that they exist. I can just never remember what they are. So thank you for pointing that out. Apologies, I ignored your comment. So yeah, if I just try and put in write factory here, it will give me a big old complaint. Probably about other things as well, but let's see that. I'm very skeptical about the. No, sorry. There's a lot of misinformation, I think, around vtables and performance. I don't think it's nearly as bad as everyone says it is. There are situations where it could have an impact, but I think the idea that like an additional pointer dereference is going to somehow tank your performance is often a little bit misguided. It's often when you have the iterating through them in a collection and they're unsorted and it trashes your instruction cache. I would say it's probably more likely to have a performance issue. Okay. Well, we'll if it's worth, if it gets annoying, then we'll look at changing it. But for now, I'm just kind of going off the the excellent guide that Microsoft has given us. Doesn't like 21, obviously. UUID. Okay, fine. Where does this live? Oh, it's UUID of. Obviously. And now this should give us a much more meaningful error. Here we go. Cannot convert argument 3 from a I direct factory star star to an I unknown star star. So let's do to be honest, like, why can't I keep this as the I unknown? I assume because at some point I'm going to need to pass this into an API that expects it as a direct factory object. Oh no, it's because interesting. So I think here is the undefined behavior because I'm using this as an object which the abstract machine has no knowledge of its creation. But it'll be fine. Fine. Okay, let's. If this broke, everyone's networking in the world, everyone's networking code in the world will break. Reinterpret car. What the hell is reinterpret pointer cast? That's nothing. Reinterpret cast. I unknown star dereference the right factory. Okay, and then we want to ensure, which is my checker function, that this, what does it return? An H result. So if the function succeeds, it returns an SOK. SOK. So failed to create right factory. I'm telling you now, we are not going to get what's done today, but we'll get to as much as we can. It's nothing to do with the ABI though. It's to do with object construction, right? You have access to an object through whose constructor was never called, which is undefined behavior. Yeah, I assume H result is. Can I see this? Oh no, well, let me jump one more. It's probably an integer. Yeah, but this isn't a V table. It's com, right? It just looks like a V table. And is designed to mimic C++. I mean, it's kind of a nuance. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Most uses of reinterpret cast are undefined behavior. Like I said, it's not going to matter for this. Whether it's worth quibbling over semantics for this, I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of my view on it. So because now we're going to basically do so now we have access to this object here. So where's the iWrite factory page? I've lost the code. Right. Used to create all subsequent DirectWrite objects. The interface is the root factory. Blah, 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 blah. So it has these methods. So I'm going to call create text format. Creates a text format object used for layout. So I need to give it, yeah, it's all going to be wide string. So we're going to have to do some conversions here. Font family name, font collection, font weight, font style, font stretch, font size. And then again, another output to another rando object that we're going to use for further calls. Okay, let's write this up. So ensure write. Oh, sorry, it's a variable now, isn't it? Actually, hang on, take a step back. Let's just check this builds and blends first. We get too carried away writing code. Nice. A function that takes a pointer and returns the same pointer. Boom, linker error, unresolved symbol. So how we fix this is look at the new function we've called, which is write create factory. We look at the page for this, we go down and we see that's in DWrite lib. So we just need to link against that. Ooh, nice. Should have just said use a variant. So wherever I include my libs, OpenGL 3, I think I can just do DWrite here and it should figure it out. Let's get warm in here. I'm excited. So in a few weeks' time, when my new PC arrives, which is more powerful than what I've got now, it's going to be extra toasty in here, which I'm super excited for. Okay. So now we can do ensure write factory create text format. So I'm going to go with their example Arial and then slap another pointer in here. Then apparently I want a DWrite font weight. So this is like bold and stuff like that. So I want DWrite font weight normal, which is different to font weight regular, and I'm not an expert, so I couldn't tell you why. And then I want another DWrite font weight normal. Oh no, sorry, I want style normal. And then I want a DWrite font. I want it stretched normally. Don't want any abnormal stretching. And then what the heck is this? What is this magic number here? Is this the font size? Is this that particular calculation rings a bell? Is that aspect ratio or something like that? Create font, font size. The logical size of the font in device independent units. A dip equals 1/96 of an inch. Inches? So it's 1/96 of 2.5 centimeters. Remember that. Okay, screen DPI to font DPI, which means handle high DPI monitors? Question mark. Muzzle flash, great point. No, I've not called co-initialize yet, so we must remember to do that. Thank you. In fact, actually, where do I do that? So I do have co-create instance here. I probably need to call co-initialize. Why do I call co-initialize in this? But yeah, good point. I can't search because I'm not signed in. I'll find that in a minute. The magical make com work function. You must call it once and exactly once. Okay. Let's just get this working first. Yes, yeah. I guess DPI is per inch. I'm trying to do text rendering using the Win32 API, and we've decided that universally we need 10 times. I'm going to bracket it up because it makes me feel like I know what I'm doing. 96.0f over 72.0f, which must be the number of dots per inch because it's 96. And then L ENGB, and then I need another out. I need a what do I want? A text format. DirectWrite text format. DirectWrite text format. And out of that becomes a text format. Ensure that equals okay. Failed to create text format. Yes, new PC soon. It has all the RAM, all the RAMs. We're gonna be running Blender in the background just for fun. Where do I use co-initial? Where do I wonder if I just slap it at the top of here, or maybe stick it in game. Okay. Right, okay, so this gives us a text format, which is we should probably check what this does first. A text format is a text format object, a text layout. Beautiful. A little bit more than 96. More than the dots per inch. Okay, so then we want to create. Oh, Jesus, I need a render target. Where the hell do I get one of those? Oh, so here's where it now gets interesting. Their example, as helpful as it is, has just assumed I got one of these. Doesn't tell you how I get one. It's just like you need one of these, because then it's like just call this. So I guess we now need to figure out what one of these is and where we get one of these from. This is the voyage of discovery that we're going on today. So what is a wind render target? Renders drawing instructions to a window. So see, I don't think I want this, right? Because I don't want to render to the screen. I want to render to a buffer. No, I went for 256 gigs of RAM. So this represents an object that can receive drawing commands. So I need one that like this is backed by a buffer. I could just look at my sample code. What do I do? So what do I need to call? I need to call after create text format. So I create write text. I create the text format. Okay, that's fine. And then I create a layout, and then I get some metrics. Image factory. Create a factory for creating WIC objects. Definitely factory 2. It's very important you get the second factory. You don't want the first one. It's not going to work for you. There we go. Create a bitmap to render text to. So I create an iWick bitmap and then set up some default render properties. And then here we go. Here's where I create the render target that this is expecting. That's it. So you could just draw straight to the screen, but that's potentially not what we want because it's bypassing OpenGL. It's just going to paint it using DirectDraw to the screen, and I'm not sure how it's going to work with us clearing it. Can I? How much can I mix Direct2 with OpenGL though? Is my question. Like, do I need to use this? I'm not actually sure of your answer of your question there, I'm afraid. I'd have to look it up. I can't remember off the top of my head. But can I initialize Direct 2D whilst I've already got an OpenGL window is my question. Like, whereas this is a bit more Windows E. But basically I have to create, rather than just the renders drawing instructions to a window, so wind is the handle to a window, rather than that I want to construct a render target to a buffer in memory. So this is the way I did it. Yes, that's what I'm trying. Are you talking about rastering like by using like lib? What is it? Was it free type font type whatever the one free font whatever the one Linux uses? I don't really want to bring in another library. Just like this works. Okay, so I'm probably just going to work my way through this. But yeah, just create a bitmap in some graphics memory, and then create the render target. Create wick bitmap render target. That's what I want from the direct. Oh, so this does use direct 2D. Where do I create that? Sorry, I'm just figuring out what I did 3 years ago that made all this work, because I obviously sat down and like bashed my head against this for a considerable amount of time to get it working. And it's fun to relive that live in front of everyone. Although we're getting near the end, so I don't know how much. We'll do a little bit more coding, and then I might refresh my memory of this off stream, not write any code, which I remember how this works. Here, create a render target. Like I did comment this up. What was that object I saw? Where's this come from? What is this when it's at home? Oh, this is the Queco, can you? So it looks like I've got a Direct2D factory. So instead of the iWick object, what are you suggesting I create? Because I need to, basically what it all boils down to is a render target where I call begin draw, and then I draw the text layout. That's how I did it. And then I end the draw. And then I basically probably lock it. Yeah, I lock the bitmap and pull that data over to the CPU, tart it up, and stick it in an OpenGL buffer. But I think I'll start writing some of this up. I think it's fine. I really don't think it's that bad. So let's do, hang on. Here we go. In my old engine, there was a start function that you had to call in order to get things going. You passed in argc and rb, and here I do co-initialize x here. So I guess I'll just make sure I call that at the beginning. In fact, let's just do that now before I forget. So let's do game, and the first thing we'll do in game is do that in here. Ensure co-initialize x null pointer co-init multi-threaded. So this is just some runes you need to draw in the sand to make the com work. I'm sure there's more nuance to that. Initialize com. So that's that out of the way. Yeah, so draw text will draw the text, but it has to draw it to a target, right? Right. If you look at DirectWrite, is that where we're looking? Where's the draw text function live? Let's see if I can find it. You're talking in iDraw2D, right? So draw. I can't find that function. IE2DD render target. Okay, let's. Yeah, you've got the draw text here, but like the question is, how do I create that render target? Where does that render target come from? Because I don't want it to just be the window render target. I want it to be backed by some buffer that I can then munge into OpenGL. I think we'll just go with what I got, and we'll just see. We'll figure out as we go along. What I'll try and do is look up, like remind myself of the code as we go along. So we created the format object, which is fine, and then we need an ID write text layout. So what does this do when it's at home? Let's check this. So represents a block of text after it has been fully analyzed and formatted. So this is kind of like it's done done your kerning and your positioning and stuff like that. So we need one of these. We need one of these. This is important. So then we have a ID write text layout. Text layout equals null pointer. And then ensure indeed. So this would then be the write factory create text layout. What are the arguments to this? What are the arguments to this? Come on. So I want to go back to the factory. No, the DirectWrite object, because this allows me to call programming guide. Go on, where's the function? Write factory. I've got. Hang on. So I've got the factory. Here you go. I DirectWrite factory. I've got the factory, and I want to create text layout. Here we go. Got there in the end. Whew. God, Windows docs. I know, right? Blowing the dust off that and busting it out. Okay. Let's go. Text string, text format, associated constraints, and produces an object that represents the fully analyzed and formatted result. That's what I want. string, an array of characters that contain the string to create a new direct object from. So I think herein lies the first issue, in that I have but a simple string, and this requires a wide string. So I guess a bit of history. At some point, Windows decided that the one true encoding for all text will be UTF-16, which means effectively a minimum of 2 bytes per character. Okay, so UTF-8 can represent all Unicode characters. It just means that some of them become multi-byte. So some of the more basically, the further you got away from the sort of Greek and Western alphabets, the more space they effectively require. So Microsoft took the view that everyone should pay the penalty of 2 bytes per character, but that would mean, in theory, less larger multi-byte characters. So I think UTF-8, some of the characters require 4 bytes to represent, or more, I guess, if you have non-joining width characters and stuff like that. But basically, in terms of glyphs, you could be looking up to 4, maybe more. I'm not a UTF-8 expert. Whereas Microsoft basically said, well, we'll make everyone pay a small price to keep everyone the average cost of all those down. In 2025, it makes no difference. Storage is cheap. Who cares? It just means now that everything inside Windows is a UTF-16 string. So std string, well, C++ has a weird relationship with Unicode anyway. You can store any UTF-8 string in a std string. It won't give you the canonical Unicode string length, but it'll give you the number of bytes in it, and then anything that supports UTF-8 it will accept. UTF-16, but UTF-16 can't really fit into a std string easily. It's not really how it works, because std string uses 1 byte per character. So even though you have multi-byte characters, blah, 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 you can't store a single character, a single UTF-16 character in a std string, because it'd have half as many bytes as required. So that's why we are blessed with the addition to the standard of WString, wide string. That's why you have std wide string view. The miserable problem with wide string is that it's built on top of WIDECHRT, which has a platform dependent size. Windows, it's 2 bytes. Linux, it is 4 bytes, which means it's an absolute nightmare if you want to try and serialize between the two of them. So the usual advice is UTF-8 everywhere, so std string, and then at the point where you have to use a different format, convert it. So we will have to widen our string. That's what we're going to have to do. Linux is wide, yes. My first C++ project, I hit this pretty hard. So we were porting some Windows code over to Linux, and we're like, just keep using the wide string. It's not ideal, but it should make things easier. And boy, were we wrong. So no, there used to be. I think it's one of the things like there's. C++ wide to multi-byte. Don't think it got standardized. You've got WSTM, which is part of C. And there's the other WSTM and MBTWOK as well. But by and large, I don't think these are that great, and they allocate in weird ways, and they're not really the primitives you want. Basically, I think the best way usually is to use, is it the Win32 multi-byte to wide byte converter function? Let's see if I find what that is. Here we go. Everyone's favorite multi-byte to wide chart function. I don't use it incorrectly because it's a security hazard. Yes, thanks, Jono. We got there in the end. So yeah, this is full of like bear traps, right? So in the infinite wisdom, the size of the input buffer is the number of bytes, while the size in the output buffer is the number of characters. So that is a very, very important distinction. To avoid a buffer overrun, your application must specify a buffer size appropriate for the data type the buffer receives. I mean, you could say that about anything. That is just general advice. So yeah, we're going to use this and hope for the best. Yeah, but like I get maybe people have this issue more often than not, but like any Win32 function that writes to a pointer is a buffer overflow if you don't give it enough space on the other end of that pointer. Yeah, like you know, I don't know. So what we thinking with this function then? I think we might widen some strings, and then we shall see what we get to. Code page to use in performing the conversion. The parameter can be set to a value of any code page that is installed available in the operating system. Isn't there like the system default Windows ASCII code page? That's what I want, isn't it? What did I use? Well, I've done this before. Do I have like a widen function at the top? I went for UTF-8. Okay, that would make sense. Yes, UTF-8. Okay, that's what I want. Sorry, I didn't see that down there. Hopefully they're UTF-8. Put in a emoji that is combination of multiple glyphs and call length on it and see what it gives you. That will kind of determine what the Unicode support is like. Because that's the hard one, right? What is the length of a string? Because it's clearly not the number of bytes. Is it the number of glyphs? But what happens if they combine? Like, where's the kind of going a little bit off piece now. Where can I do this? So this is a fun one. Take the emoji family of 4, right? And then press backspace, and you can slowly delete the members of the family one by one until you're left with no one, because this just takes all those sub emojis and uses a special character in between them to say, hey, this actually semantically means something different. Can you please render them as this? This itself is not a single character point. This is the combination of multiple ones. That's how you get all that's how you get all the different skin tones and stuff like that. They have like the same core base one emoji, and then you tack on some additional information. But yeah, zero width joiner. Thank you. That's the badger. Yeah, just slowly remove members of the family, and then again, if you have different skin tones, then these become additional modifiers on top of that. So yeah, fun little jolly into Unicode there. Right. This might be something for Sunday, but let's start writing this, and then I have not used my malloc, in this or ever. So I'm trying to put off thinking too much about memory allocation, like just new all the way for me. Do we have like a utils function? I feel like this could be useful. Just even if it's just to test it. E source e sort. Why can I not? I've changed directory, haven't I? Ugh, I hate everything. Okay, let's just see if we can write the widen function, and then at least we'll have something to go off next time. Source utils text widen.h. And also I've been gassing for quite a while and not writing any code. Let's do inline auto widen what can I do? String view stud was string. In fact, actually, I think source utils, I have separated them out. Okay, fine. So this doesn't need to be. All just basic, all just basic string and basic string view under the hood. Okay, so let's do let's do VS source. How are we doing? A little bit longer. Let's see if we can get this done. VS source utils text widen.cpp hash include text utils text widen. Pretty much just gonna yank this and then util going to cmake utils let's see if this blends, get this going, and then we'll write some code. Test incoming, indeed. Let us test. This is gonna be a real jolly. So I guess this kind of set expectation. This is me working on something that I have, although quite not recently, have done before. Sound I've never done before in my life. So that is going to be a real. We're gonna figure that out from the docs with like no prior knowledge from me. It's gonna be fun. So what do I want in this miserable world? So I've got the docs just off screen. I want to do I love me some Wasapi. Windows.h. Okay. Multi byte, which is the UTF-8 bit because it's multiple bytes per thing, I guess, to wide char. I feel like it's not picked up. Am I in the wrong header? Include Windows.h. Okay, it's just being funny about it. I want UTF-8. That's got to have a better CP UTF-8. And then DW flags. What are my flags? What are my flags? Flags indicating the conversion type. The relations can specify a combination of the following types: precomposed, composite. Do I want any? What did I do before? Precomposed apparently is my my previous choice. Where's I've lost the function there is. Default. Do not use with MB composite. Always use precomposed characters. That is characters. E. This is the E is the base character, and the accent given mark is the non-spacing character. If a single Unicode code point is defined for a character, the application should use it instead of a separate base character and a non-spacing character. For example, a umlaut is represented by a single Unicode code point, lateral in capital A with with diarrhea. So the thing with Unicode is that a lot of the letters with funky additional glyphs have a single code point representation, like Latin capital letter A with diarrhea. But also you can also create A and then use a modifier, because that's how Unicode works, to add that accent onto it, and you could change it from right to left and add additional stuff to it. So yeah, I'm not like most things, I'm not an expert in Unicode. I kind of know enough to be dangerous. AC, it's not going well. It's not going well. So it basically said just use MB precomposed, right? Use that. And then what else? My arguments. I need a. Well, that's a new one. I've never seen this before. Like, I know LPCH is the pointer to the C string. But in terms of the extra gubbins that they add onto their API, I'm not sure I've seen that. So pointer to the character string to convert. So str dot data. Size, right, let's get this right. Size in bytes of the string indicated by the LP multi-byte str parameter. Alternatively, this parameter can be set to 1 if the string is null terminated. Note that if CB multi-byte is 0, the function fails. So don't put in 0. Pro tip, don't put in 0. I'm not going to put in -1 because the string is not guaranteed to be null terminated until Dascandy finishes getting a C string view through the standards. We will have to do the size. So that is simply str.size. Almost certainly the wrong size type. I bet it wants like a D word or something stupid. Wants an int. Oh, of course, because it could be negative. Okay, fine. That's gonna. I tell you for free. That's not gonna work. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. And then, right, here's where we inadvertently include a buffer overflow in our code, and then I get mocked. String view, I don't believe has a size bytes. That is span. I could be wrong. Because string view is templated basic string view on char, which is a 1 byte type, right? Basic string view char. So I don't think it has a size bytes. It has a size and a length, which are the same thing. That's like a weird hangover from other bits of C++. So no, you cannot. If it's 0, the function fails. Pro tip, don't pass 0. You can pass -1 if it's null terminated. However, a string view is not guaranteed to be null terminated, so I need to pass the size. Oh, for the white stuff, I'm not finished reading the docs yet. Let's go there. A pointer to a buffer that receives the converted string. Size in characters of the buffer. If the value is 0, the function returns the required buffer size. This is... I am surprised we've gotten this far before hitting this paradigm. This is a very, very classic Windows paradigm, okay? I don't think it's used as much in Linux, but you see this an awful lot in Win32 code, where it has a function which writes out to a buffer. So you pass it like a 0 size or a null pointer, and instead it tells you how many bytes it would have written if you'd given it a valid thing to write to. So a lot of Windows programming ends up with this weird like double call thing. You sort of call it once, and you're like, you gonna tell me how many bytes you need? And then be like, oh, you need this many bytes. Then you're like, okay, then I'll allocate it. So yeah, we'll use that because this is the safest way of doing it. The function returns the required buffer size in characters, including any null terminating characters, and makes no use of the LP wide charge buffer. So we can put a null pointer in here and a 0 in here, and it will return the number of characters that it would have written if we'd given it a valid pointer. This is not me being disparaging. I think it's actually quite quite an interesting way of doing the API. It is kind of a bit racy because between like, was it time of check, time of use, like that, there's the possibility that that could have changed. There's no atomicity to it because you have to make 2 separate calls. So if any state is changed between the 2 of them, then you're shit out of luck. Like, what are you going to do? Yeah, so I'm not. This was not me bashing on the Windows 32 API like design choice. This is just me kind of saying that this is quite a common paradigm, and I'm kind of surprised that we've not come across this so far in this project. Then there's one API, I can't remember, we did it on the last live stream series where I can't remember the API now. It's something to do with dumping like the number of running processes or something, and because it knows it will change between them, you give it a size and a null pointer, and you basically say, if there was this many bytes hanging off that pointer, would it have worked? And it's like, no, it's not big enough. Doesn't tell you how big it needs to be. It just tells you it's not big enough. So you then have to, rather than calling it once to get the size and calling it again, you have to have a loop where you basically like, you give it a size, and then you double it, and then you double it, and then you keep going until some arbitrary limit, or or it's right, and then you hope, and then you hope that whatever race condition it's trying to protect you against hasn't occurred between the last time it tells you there's enough space and then the time you call it. Arena is irrelevant, like that doesn't solve that problem at all. Like the API is fundamentally limited in what it can do. It just basically tells you whether the size would have been big enough or not if you called it at that specific point in time in the current state of the machine, and then you roll the dice and hope again. Anyway, that's I would argue that's the slightly worse side of this paradigm. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it makes sense at the time. Anyway, I'm kind of waffling a bit. We're going to put in a null pointer here, and then I'm going to put in a 0 here, okay? And then this is going to be const auto wide byte size, okay? Give me one of those. And then return value returns the number of characters written to the buffer. There you go, let me get this up so we can all read along together. Returns the number of characters written to the buffer indicated by the loop wide char str if successful. If the function succeeds and wide char is 0, the return value is the required size in characters for the buffer indicated by loop wide char str. Also see Dua flags info about how the number invalid chars flag affects the function returns 0 if it does not succeed. So basically we just need to ensure wide bytes char doesn't equal 0. Failed to get was string size for converting struct. Can these macros? Can I not? Boo macros, boo. So I didn't mean so. The code I'm cribbing for is Iris, the game engine that I wrote I stopped writing 3 years ago, which kind of got me into it. Oh, they are characters. Well done. I'm already about to make that mistake. Wide character num wide chars. And my vision was that it was going to be obviously like the next Unity. It was going to support every single architecture, every single platform, be super easy to use, code first rather than GUI first. So it's going to be like super like clearly didn't transpire because I'm doing this now instead. But it did support 3 rendering backends. It did support Metal, DirectX 12, and OpenGL. I didn't want to keep writing all the shaders across all those languages, so I wrote a mini shader compiler, which allowed you to create like Unity's graph of shaders. So you'd be like, plug this into this, and then this into this, and this into this, and it would effectively compile that graph, and it would use fragments of code from each of the specific shading languages to kind of push it all together. I think it used Ginger template, the web templating framework under the hood. And I'll super quickly go through this because I think it was one of the bits I was most proud of about this render graph. So you have all these nodes, right, which represent like some, like you can lerp between these, and these, and then somewhere shader. Here you go, shaders. I had some scenic nonsense, and then say for instance GSL for the, I had all these chunks. So the lerp node chunk looked like this. So it would know to call mix, and then it would walk through the compiler and then ginger rise each of those. But then obviously if that was more nodes, it would then recursively go through and figure it all out. So I don't know if that's a good example, because is that different in HLSL? Yeah, so in I didn't want a bunch of like, if OpenGL write lerp, if write mix, if HLSL write lerp. So I did these chunks once, and then you just kind of recursively figured it all out. And then there's that like specific function, like the blur function. I wrote that as a block of code in each of them, so I kind of maintained some. I don't know. I was quite pleased with it. It worked quite well. But it's useful now as just a resource for me to kind of figure out as it's going along. Yeah, I found this is the issue I found was that DirectX and Metal, as from that same kind of category of super low level drivers, and it was kind of difficult interfacing those with OpenGL because they and also like, I mean, because they all have bindless textures, but obviously only some of them. But WGL, I can't use the OpenGL, I can't use RenderDoc on any of the OpenGL instances because it doesn't support bindless textures. So debugging that was a nightmare. And then I was like, oh, I could have Vulkan, and I was like, I need to stop doing this now. Anyway, I am gassing a little bit. So num wide chars equals that. Let's get this going. And then I need to do auto widestra equals stud widestra. I always get this wrong. I want the null byte first, then the size. It's the opposite way round to vector, which you give it. No, it's the opposite way around to vector, so I do have that the wrong way around. Yes, I do need include error. Thank you. Let me just fix this first. So vector has a constructor, which is the object value and then a number, which will then fill the vector with that number of that value. With wide string, with strings, it's the what's this? It's the other way around. You give it to the number first and then the byte. I assume there's some sort of ambiguity it has to kind of figure out. I don't really know. I wasn't there when the ancient tombs were written. That beer is calling my name. Okay, so now we can do ensure multi-byte to wide char. Play this game again. CPU TF8. MB pre-processed. str.data. Static cast. Int. str.size. Wide str.data. Wide str.size. Technically length, but we'll dot size. And that needs to equal wide str.size. So if those don't equal, then it's failed to widen string str. And then we just return wide str. Nailed it. That's how you do it. That's how you convert between them. He says, what have I made? Where have I... does this need a cast as well? What's the... Why are they both int when this last one can never be negative? Poor API design. I'll switch to my custom fork of Reactos where I can change all the APIs how I see fit. It's going all right. We're getting there. We're trying to do some text rendering, but it's proving arduous. Yes, I'm a little bit over, but I'm having fun getting this. I want to try and end on not necessarily a high, but like a mid point. Yes, but do I need a +1? Doesn't it? I don't think you need +1 since the call does not add a 0 byte if you don't use -1 0 char. Do I? But I don't care about this because this is the input. In characters of the buffer, if this value is characters in the required buffer in size, including any terminating null characters. But it's a wide string which handles that. Remarks. Is that what I was reading? Does not null terminate an output string if the input string is. Here you go, this is fine. I don't need it to be null terminated. Multi-byte to wide char does not null terminate an output string if the input string length is explicitly specified without a terminating null character. To null terminate an output string, I don't need to null terminate it because wide or string handles the termination for you. So my interpretation of that is because I've explicitly specified the size of the input string, it will not null terminate the output string. And I don't need the output string to be null terminated because wide string handles that effectively for you. Here, if you want it to null terminate an output string for this function, the application should pass -1 or explicitly count the terminating null character for the input string, of which I'm doing neither. My input string is effectively not null terminated. Cheers around, catch you soon. I'll be wrapping up soon anyway. Yes, I believe it does because the fact that it's null terminated is entirely an implementation detail. When you call .cstra on it, it guarantees you a pointer to a null terminated string. There's nothing, I think, stopping it allocating a copy and null terminating it, but I don't think it does. I think it just manages it. So when you allocate this many bytes, you will actually internally allocate +1. I'm pretty sure this is fine. I'm happy for there to be egg on my face later, but I'm pretty sure this is fine. So this is not emulated at all. I am cross-compiling for Windows using WSL. So I have a Windows machine here. I'm just cross-compiling using using MSVC Wine. And yeah, I just run it normally from the command line, and WSL Magic makes it run. Would it be overkill to check the string view length to prevent possible overflows? Prevent, like, what? Check the string view length against what? Like, what am I checking this for? Because I'm not. Do you mean check it to check that this effectively divided by size of which are 2 equals this? I think that is overkill because the API says it's never going to be int max. You got bigger problems if you're passing around an int max string. So I'm kind of happy that being an implicit part of the. Also, I don't think it would matter if it was int max. I would just pass in int max here. I guess because of the static cast. Nah, I don't think it's an issue. I just don't pass that. Just don't pass like 4 gig strings around. Okay, right. This needs to be static cast again. Let's just check that blends. Then we'll write a super quick test, and then we'll probably call it a day. I would agree. If you've got a 1 gig string in the game of which I control all the strings, we have a bigger issue than my strings. Okay, that blends. So let's do e tests text widen tests dot cpp hash include gtests test text widen simple assert true false CMake tests MNOPQRS text widen tests.cp and then gtest filter text star. Hello, computer. Did I just not build it? Didn't pass. Like, just didn't run. Nailed it. Okay, fine. So let's do hash include utils slash text widen hash include string hash include string view using namespace to literals and then do assert equals text widen hello world sv std w string hello world bleh. Oh, is it just called widen? I called it text widen everything, but there, fine. I do actually think text widen is semantically clearer. Especially as the function is called that as well. Yeah. I do. Well done. Start thinking about that beer, and now my brain's gone. I think we actually got further than I thought today. I thought we were going to spend ages faffing around with those textures, and like it doesn't look great, but at least it looks. Nailed it. Okay. Let's just comment this up. So text widen, text widen, text widen. Test and test. Okay. Add text widen util. Commit start of text factory. Co-initialize call at start for execute stream 66. And we're there in the git hole. Nice. Okay, so what do we do today? Quick recap. As way of a stand-up. We faffed around with some textures. Which was good. We then started doing the text rendering, which led us down a little bit of a rabbit hole trying to remember how it works in using the particular API I want. I will try and read up on the code and provide a better explanation of some of the rando calls we have to make. But as part of that, we had a little bit of a detour through the UTF-16 history of Microsoft. Realized that the one true text format UTF-8 is not going to serve us here, and then had to widen our strings. But to widen them properly, we had to call a function to ask how much space we needed, so we could then call another function to widen it. But then we wrote a test, and all was great in the world. New build to release. Yes. Thank you. Not that it does much more. I suppose it has the better textures, isn't it? Commit version, then 4T6, update that, push that. At the end of each stream, I do a release. Nope, I don't do that. And then I set it on GitHub, which sends a notification to Discord, which allows people to have a play around with it if they want. Quick question, master's student in computer science, and you're not even near this level of programming. So bear in mind that I have been doing C++ professionally for like over a decade across a multitude of different industries. Never game dev, so this is me figuring it out as I go along. So don't. Also, like I make a lot of mistakes. I'm definitely not perfect, but don't compare where you are now to where I am now, because there's probably about a decade of difference. Best way to improve is just to write lots of code and get a job if you can, writing lots of code. That's really that's what I did. Hopefully that helps. It's a bit of a cop-out answer, but the key to proficiency in any skill is practice. I'm hot. I've had enough. I'm not had enough. That's a lie. But I'm hot. I've had enough being in this room. I've not had enough of doing this project. Let's reconvene on Sunday, and we should do some more text rendering. I think we've probably got like a stream or two to bash it out. Probably at least one stream to bash out the Windows horror, and then maybe another stream to bash out integrating it into our render system, because there's kind of two parts to it, and then we're done. Like, ship it, off we go. Cool. I'll hang around on Discord for a bit. Otherwise, enjoy your evening, and I'll see you anon.